I wrote an essay um, that is published in a journal called Breath and Shadow about how a film called The Witches affected people with limb differences. I myself do not have a limb difference, but as a severely disabled person, I strongly identify with other people, disabled people, regardless of the type of disability. Okay? Now I'm just going to read some excerpts here. People with visible disabilities often struggle with self-esteem. As children, they're frequently teased and bullied about their handicaps. Okay, they have special problems of identity and identification, as they rarely see people who look like them in the mainstream media. Journalist Kara Buckley reports that a study found that less than 2% of characters with speaking parts in top movies are visibly disabled. Okay, now I go on there to talk about the reasons that limb differences occur. There are people who are missing limbs, who have limbs fused together. There's various ways that can happen. Okay, but the problem for a lot of people is that when they remade a movie called The Witches, the 2020 movie is it shows the witches as having a visible limb difference in that they're missing like the two middle fingers. These two fingers are missing. And many people who have very similar limb differences, often they don't have the two fingers. They were very upset by this show, by putting the limb difference as indicating a villain or villainesses in this case. And they were especially worried about, well, this is a movie that is targeted to children. Is it going to lead children to think that other children who have limb differences are somehow evil or cursed, that they're witches? All right, now there was a certain amount of insensitivity here. Okay, however, it also builds on a history, because there is a history of seeing disability, deformity, and scars as denoting villainy. Okay. Okay, and this goes back quite a long ways. For example, it goes back to the 1909 Phantom of the Opera, Freddy Krueger of the Nightmare on Elm Street. And you have Captain Ahab of Moby Dick, Captain Hook of Peter Pan. All of it ties, disability, and in the latter two cases, limb differences, to wickedness. Now, sometimes the disability, though, is there to kind of build up sympathy for the villain. But there is a problem there in identifying disability, and particularly visible disability, with evil. And that could lead to, children getting teased even more than they already are about, not having, a couple fingers, or, whatever the limb difference is. And I think in public, we need to be very careful about how we depict people with visible differences. Having said that, I also want to point out that a lot of disabled people talk about what they call inspiration porn, which makes a person seem like a super person when they're just living their life. We really need more disabled characters who are regular characters, who are flawed, but who are not, not avatars of wickedness. And I hope you like what you heard and will subscribe to my channel. Thank you.